What is up, everybody? It's your boy Doody back again with another video, and this time we're taking a look at our boy DSP's daily rap video. After a day of, low support for Resident Evil, and Rimworld bounced back. That's right, our boy Phil had an amazing day last night, due in part to a new Dent who's decided to enter the Vortex, that's right, or the Snortex, and we'll talk a little bit about him in a few minutes. So yeah, I mean, yesterday was one of those days where, Phil's an idiot, he raged a few times, and, par for the course for DSP. So let's watch the video. Actually, by the way, it is a shorter video. It was only 8.5 minutes long, even though I sped it up, so I got it down to 6.5 minutes. Let's see if we can make sure this video stays under 15 minutes. So let's get into it.
And welcome to the Daily Wrap for what was Wednesday, the 4th of March, 2026. Let's talk all about it. It was yet again a good day of variety. First off, it was time for major progress with Leon in Resident Evil Requiem. We started today with a chill DSP morning show. We talked about various topics, but the primary focus was talking about how I'm very different from other creators. Seems to be misconceptions about content creation today, that everyone should do stuff exactly the same way. The fact that I took my time going through Resident Evil Requiem and exploring fully and interacting with my audience and making this a longer playthrough than most people did apparently is a bad thing. No, it's not. And I told you why, and I explained my history as 18 years as a creator, how things have changed over time, and why I put as much into my playthroughs as I do. I hope that you'll enjoy that discussion from today's morning show.
Okay, it was essentially him crashing out. It was him crashing out because people, like always, were telling them that they're not in. The reason why they're not supporting or interested in his Resident Evil playthrough is because he's taking too long. And, this is something that Phil does. He likes to drag on a playthrough because he thinks he can milk it for more donations. So instead of, beating a game that he could have beaten in 4 or 5 streams, he wants to push it out to, 8 to 9 streams, especially if it's something that's supported early, where the first couple of streams does get support. And he wants to milk it because he has nothing else to do. I'm pretty sure he's sick and tired of playing indie nights and just wasting money on games that no one cares or no one supports. So he's just trying to drag it out, and that's what he's doing with Resident Evil, and his viewers are calling out for it. And of course, he can't simply just accept the criticism and move on. No, he has to argue and tell his viewers why they're idiots, and that's what he did yesterday. He basically told his viewers they were wrong, he was correct, he's successful, and they're not, right? I know he likes to throw this thing out of, well, I'm different. I do things different. Different is not always good, Phil. Matter of fact, in content creation, different is typically bad. Because, again, Phil doesn't understand that countless of streamers are out there. There's a specific formula, and okay. There seems to be a pattern with content creation. It's like waves. You get waves of content creators, right? Something becomes very popular, and people start mimicking it, and then other people start having success. And then it sort of dies down, people get bored. A new person emerges, they do something different, and then the trend begins all over again. You have content creators mirroring them, and they start doing what they do, right? It's a game plan, essentially, right? There has been a game plan for almost 18 years of YouTube, Phil, all right? It's a pretty simple plan. It's changed from time to time, yes, I completely understand that. But your problem is, brother, you fail to adapt. You've said it before. You're pig-headed, you're bull-headed. When people tell you to do something, you want to automatically resist and say no. Essentially, if someone tells you don't cross the street because you're going to get run over by a car, you, like an idiot, you'll cross the street and say, I don't care if I'm going to get run over by a car. I hope I get run over by a car. Because you're just bull-headed, right? So when people tell you that, hey, this is what people are currently doing now, and they're way more successful than you are, they don't have to sit there and ebeg like you do. They don't have to panhandle. They don't have to yell at their dents for money, and they're successful, right? But you want to sit there and not do that because it's just not your way. And again, it's laziness. It's laziness because that method requires Phil to actually do a little bit of research. It requires him to have a little bit of actual insight into himself and realize, maybe I need to change who I am as a person. And he doesn't want to do that. He figures, nope, and it's another reason why he doesn't want to work with Locale Live. He doesn't want to be beholden to anyone else because he feels like he would need to curtail or modify his behavior, and that's something that DSP doesn't want to do. DSP just wants to do whatever the fuck DSP wants to do, and he expects you to like it. He said it before, I'm going to beg and you're going to like it. Yeah, can you imagine that? Can you imagine someone tell you that? I'm gonna be shitty towards you. I'm gonna display shitty behavior, and you're gonna like it. Who in the world, other than DSP, would actually say that? Literally think it. Actually say it. DSP would, right? So that's the reason why he doesn't like to follow trends and stuff like that. It's not because he knows that they're not good ideas or will bring him money. It's because he's a contrarian. He wants to be lazy and he doesn't want to change. He wants to continue doing the same shit he wants to do. It's the reason why he ranted about sponsors again, yet again. The reason why he doesn't want to have again, it's an all or nothing with this fucking guy. He literally thinks that if you take a sponsorship, you need to kiss the company's butt. No, Phil. There's a way of criticizing a game or a product without being a douchebag. And what you don't want to not do is be a douchebag. You want to be able to curse at a fucking business, tell them that they're stupid, that they're idiot, but yet expect them to pay you? No. You can actually review something, and even if you don't like it, you can actually give it an honest review, tell them what you don't like. A lot of it is just the way you do it in tone. Right? I'll give you an example, Phil. You know what I mean? Let's just talk about your big wife, right? Let's talk about your big wife, right? Let's just say that you actually care about her and you are in love with her like a true married couple, right? And you see that she's getting extremely huge, right? You won't go to her and say, "Hey, babe, you're getting fat as fuck," right? You wouldn't do that. No one would. Well, maybe DSP would, but no one would do that, right? What you would do is you would go to them, you would treat them properly, you would give them respect, you would give them love, and maybe you would couch it something as, "Hey, why don't we get healthier together? You know, why don't we start going for walks? Why don't we eat a little bit more healthier?" And you make it seem like this is something you want to do for yourself, or you see it as something that you want to do together, you know, for each other so that each other can benefit, right? That's how you can couch it. You can go to your wife and you can go to the angle and make it seem like you want to do it for both of you, and it's more about healthy lifestyle, not because she's a big fat beast, right? So there's a way of doing it, and you're doing it tactfully and respectfully, and you're not calling her a fat ogre, right? Right, Phil? Again, there's ways of doing it, but that would require effort, thought, and actually planning, and those are three things, brother, that you are just not adept at doing. And you refuse to do. That's why you like to scream and shout and do whatever the fuck you want to do. And because you are the way you are, you can't actually function in real society. You can't collaborate with other people. You can't take sponsorships. That's why you need to sit there and ebeg. And of course, everyone knows that ebegging is just scummy. Even you know it, Phil. You, in your heart, brother, if you ever get a few drinks into Phil, he will admit that he feels scummy about being an e-beggar. He would. Everyone will. Everyone feels that way. But it's the quickest and laziest way for him to earn money. So that's what he's going to do. And I'm sorry, that's the honest truth. Anyway, I'm sorry that went a little bit long, but he annoys me every time he goes into the whole sponsorship rant and starts talking about how he's different. Yeah, Phil, yeah, you're very different. You're also special, okay? Short yellow bus special.
Then we jumped into Resident Evil Requiem, and today was monstrous progress with Leon. First off, we finished up the whole first major area of Raccoon City, that big street, and we headed onto a crazy highway chase against Victor Gideon. Then we arrived at Raccoon City Police Department, and there it was pretty fun. It was a throwback to the original Resident Evil 2 and or Resident Evil 2 Remake. In fact, there were actually completely reused locations with Easter eggs and fun things going on that were pretty neat. Without spoiling, there was a really, really cool fight that happened, and this led us into essentially the end game of the game, where you basically go to an underground lab. Yes, they are still using that cliche from way back in the day of Resident Evil 1, and that's where we are right now. Actually, it was interesting because at the end of the game, there's completely different kinds of combat that you had not seen yet, which is pretty cool that they actually threw kind of this last-minute twist into the gameplay elements. Here's the deal. We're about to finish the game. From what everyone's telling me, we're like an hour roughly from the end of the game. Some people are like, it's probably going to be shorter than that. But here's the thing. You guys know me. I'm going to absolutely tomorrow take my time. If there's any lore, I'm going to read it. If there's anyone talking, I'm going to interact. And therefore, I'm not going to rush to the end of the game. We are going to take our time and see how it goes. So, yeah, we're definitely beating the game tomorrow.
You're going to use that strategy. You know what's going to happen? Just like the last 3 streams. You're going to get low support. You're going to get low support. And trust me, if you could, you would milk it for another stream. because you got nothing else going for you. Like I mentioned earlier, what are you going to keep playing? Keep playing more Dragon Quest? I mean, you essentially put that on hiatus because that was getting no fucking support. What else are you going to do? More Indie Nights? More Street Fighter? So again, the reason why I bring it up is because this guy loves to talk about how busy and how in demand he is, but yet playing the same, 3 games, which I love. He's still playing Street Fighter, which is how old? 4 years? 3 years old? Good God! All right, let's keep going.
I just don't know how quickly we will, but I'm excited to see how it all ends. Today's attendance was still pretty good. I think we had like 350 people on YouTube and still our usual 100 on Kick. Engagement was pretty good with people talking and hanging out. Support wasn't superb, but also was definitely not bad. It was pretty good. So I was pleased with how today went, particularly it's the 5th.
He was at $90 for the whole stream until about the last 30 minutes where he went on a tirade and started begging, and people threw him an extra $30. That's what ended up happening, folks.
Straight day of us playing a game. You're always going to see fall off then. But the fact that we're concluding it tomorrow, that's awesome. Hopefully, if you can make it, you'll come by for the conclusion, okay? So, that was Resident Evil, and then tonight it was the return of Rimworld. Now, tonight was arguably the most risky, nervous, danger-filled night because after last stream, if you don't remember, we were in a very bad position. We were simply recovering from a series of attacks and bad fortune, and we had to race to an alien crash landing of Scythers. We had to take out those Scythers and then take out their alien ship. If we didn't, the field growing from this crashed ship was going to overcome our base and make it so that no crops could actually grow there ever again. And that would mean the death of our survivors because they can't have food. So tonight, we had an insanely tense situation where we had to mobilize and rush out and try to take out the Scythers. In addition to that, we had many other interesting things going on. All I'm going to say is it was a night of firsts. We actually did a few first-time things in tonight's session that actually were very interesting, although admittedly, I was nervous doing a lot of them because I didn't know, obviously, what I was doing. But I had a great time. And overall, the audience did too. And attendance still remaining, one of my lower attended streams, but the fact that people that are there for Rimworld really love the game means that there's definitely the ability to play this game at length as long as those people keep showing up. Engagement was sky high with people talking from both Kick and the YouTube sides, helping me with the game, and support was really good. Really good. Basically, the support tonight was so good, it kind of makes up for the fact that both of the last Resident Evil streams were on the slower side. So it was amazing. And that's the cool thing is, games like Hollow Knight, Rimworld, they're not getting a ton of attendance, but the people that are there for them love these games and want to see me play them and help me with them and then support them. That's the key to success. You don't always have to find mainstream appeal. You don't have to get viral views and popularity. You have to find a group of people that like you, like the content you put out, and want to support it to have it continue. Period. That's sadly the piece of the formula tons of creators today are missing. And this is what I'm finding out in 2026. Find the hidden gems, play them, enjoy them. People will come.
Okay, all right. All right, he had 120 people watching that dead-ass stream, first of all. And again, it's not people, it's person. And speaking of person, a new Dent has entered the arena. That's right. Jay Hayes, I believe that's his name. Or Jahaze, or whatever the hell it is, right? Jahaze apparently decided to drop 200 bills on DSP last night, and of course complained that detractors were going to his live streams and dumping on him, which was kind of bullshit, to be honest. I actually went back and took a look at his last live stream. No one was dumping and shitting on him. What is he talking about? No detractor went in there and called him an idiot or a moron or yelled at him or derailed his chat. No, I didn't see any of that in that stream. So it sounds like you're just trying to fucking glum on the DSP to get some attention. That's what it seems like. And again, folks, I've mentioned this in the past, and I'm not. And again, don't bother with him. Like, leave him alone. Don't go to his channel. Don't fuck with him. Like, I don't do that. I'm just making you aware of who this guy is. Because last night, of course, he came on the DSP streams and, like I said, dropped $200 in support and decided that he wanted to stick or poke the stick at the trolls, right? And of course, whenever people do that, I try to give people counsel and say, bro, that's not a good idea. You shouldn't be poking people, especially trolls. It never ends well. Like these content creators who pretty, as you can see, has 213,000 subs, which is, a pretty decent sized channel. But if you look at his views and everything, he's kind of really fell off. He doesn't have much going on there. I'm not sure what it is. I'm assuming his channel has something to do with vaping. I don't know. And I really don't give a shit. I really don't care. But again, you get these content creators, like Repsian, we got this guy, we got Habib Gaming, who are NDO, a lot of these kind of failed content creators that for some reason think that glumming onto DSP will make them popular again. I don't get it. I don't fucking get it. I'm assuming what happened was they saw that Kino Casino successfully did it for 8 months. And, for the most part, Kino Casino really didn't get that much shit for doing it, which is not true, actually. They got harassed and bombarded and trolled and doxxed and a whole bunch of shit. It really wasn't an easy little walk in the park for them. But they're big enough and popular enough where it really didn't faze them. So that was the only difference. So I think you have a lot of these content creators like this Jay Hayes and Repsian and so on that, their channels kind of died off. They really got not much going on. And I guess they're trying to recreate the magic and I don't know, teaming up with DSP or maybe being friendly with DSP and maybe getting an interview or doing, I'm assuming that's what this guy's trying to do. Very similar to Repsian and the other, the other people. But I'm telling you right now, brother, DSP is not going to give you an interview. He's not going to do content for you. He will take your money, and thank you. And the lovely part, too, is that when he actually went on Phil's stream and started bitching and complaining about the tractors, trolling him and harassing him, Phil basically just said, yeah, good luck with that. Thank you for your money. Good luck with that. And just told him, oh, just ignore them. Yeah, okay, Phil, just ignore them, right. But ignore them and keep giving me money. Anyway, yeah, we got a new Dent. Again, just like all these other fucking content creators that I like to call them window lickers because they're like kids at the zoo looking at the gorilla behind the pane glass window. They're very curious, but they don't know exactly what entails or involves being part of the vortex. And, they press up their nose and their mouth and they lick the window. That's what these guys are. And for the most part, they come... They drop a few bucks, they try to do content or try to get Phil to be their friend. They see it doesn't work and then they move on. Just like Nagla, that's another YouTuber that decided he wanted to clout chase a little bit off of DSP, thought he could do content with him, got a lot of blowback and decided, you know what, that's not for him. And he stepped away. Repsian, very similar. Repsian was the same thing. He tried to dip his toe with DSP. He got a lot of blowback and he was like, all right, it's not worth it. So... I mean, again, like I said, leave him fuck alone. Don't bother him. Don't bombard his channel, whatever. Just let him be. He has every right to give whoever the fuck he wants his money. You know what I mean? My policy. I don't tell people how to spend their money or whatever. That's not me. You know what I mean? But I just wanted to make you aware that there seems to be a little mini arc brewing here. And it involves this content creator. So. Oh, God. More window lickers. That's right. All right, folks, so that's all I have. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Peace out, everyone.